Hey.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome back, Misfits, and welcome back to a new episode. Today we're going to talk about the Tabernacle. So we're going to go over the basics and just a general overview of what the Tabernacle is. And then in the next episodes of this series, we're going to go more into detail about what the Tabernacle contains. Yeah, what the rooms are, what the stuff that they have in it, all the stuff.
Yeah. So the Tabernacle is essentially where God's Spirit could, quote unquote, live. And it's where people could gather for worship and offer sacrifices. Just to note, so the Tabernacle was where God's Spirit could, quote unquote, live and where people could gather for worship and offer sacrifices. It was not a gathering place or a place for community like we think of now, like different religious buildings or churches. Jewish people had very specific reasons to go to the Tabernacle, and it was most used to bring their sacrifices to the Lord. So the word tabernacle means dwelling place, which is why it says that the Spirit lived there. The tabernacle is first mentioned in Exodus. It is a vision given to Moses, and God gives Moses specific instructions on how to build the tabernacle. I will note that the Bible does talk about the tabernacle and then later on talks about a temple. The tabernacle was meant to be a portable place, and they could kind of set it up wherever they went. So they were able to take it with them and then set up as they moved around. And then later on, you'll read mentions of Solomon building a temple, which Solomon was David's son. And that was meant to be a permanent building. And it was basically what the tabernacle was in the time of Moses. And you'll find that in 1 Kings. So each part of the tabernacle represents something different, and that's something we'll go into when we go into the actual sections of the tabernacle. So we'll give a little more detail then. But God was going to graciously live with his people, the Israelites, but they needed to prepare a place for him. So this was God's way of being with his people in order for them to build something. Note that it wasn't that God's presence was contained in one place, but it was more symbolic. It also, keep in mind that this is before Jesus. So the dwelling place was here versus now that the Spirit lives in us. So a little different. All aspects of the tabernacle and its furnishings were defined with specific detail regarding dimensions, shape, color. Very specific, kind of reminds me of Noah's Ark, like very specific things that God would instruct Moses to do for every part of it. The repetition of the instructions given to Moses show us the importance of the detail and everything involved in God's tabernacle. So there's, I think, several chapters where it talks about all the different things that are in the tabernacle and the requirements that God was giving Moses. So
yes.
it wasn't like, here, get this done.
Right.
He was like, make sure it has this, make sure it has
it's
that.
It's one of those parts in the Bible where you're just like, okay, how
got it.
We're talking about wood and gold. Like, can we just let's move on
like
now?
Inches or whatever.
It's very specific. Yes.
Yeah. So, but that's how you know it was very important. Common worshipers did not enter the tabernacle tent. It was only the priests.
All right, so now we're going to go and basically mention the parts of the tabernacle, and then in later episodes, like we said, we're going to go in depth and actually explain what they are. But the tabernacle was divided into two specific areas. First is the holy place, and the holy place included the altar of incense, the table, and the lampstand. Then there is the other section is called the most holy place, or the Holy of Holies, which includes the Ark of the Covenant. And then both of these areas were separated by what they call the veil. And of course, we're going to go into all of that next episode, but we just wanted to just give you the names of what is inside of the tabernacle itself. So who worked in the tabernacle? Those that worked in the tabernacle were divided into two groups, the priests and the Levites. So a teaching moment here. The Levites were all those who were part of the tribe of Levi, and Levi is an actual person. The priests were part of the tribe of Levi also, but were in addition descendants of Aaron, and Aaron was Moses' brother. So just to add to that, Aaron was Moses' brother. So when Moses was leading the Israelites, God called Aaron to be the priest for the Israelites. And so all of the descendants of Aaron were the priests that were serving in the tabernacle. So it's a little confusing, but basically all of the priests were Levites, but not all of the Levites were priests. So we hope that makes sense. Yes, it's like genealogy situation. But basically, priests and Levites were the only people that were actually allowed to go and be in the temple and do all of the sacrifices and all the things that happened in there. So for both the priests and the Levites, their responsibilities were first to focus on God, right? That was their number one focus. Second, it was to offer daily sacrifices, burned incense in the holy place, and they tended to the lamps on the lampstand. Weekly, they renewed the bread of the presence and ate the old loaves.
Can you imagine that? Like eating old bread?
Eating old bread. It's like, it's part of your job. Just enjoy it.
I know this is supposed to be very sacred and everything.
Just enjoy it and be holy.
When I was reading that, I was like, so I couldn't have any of the fresh bread?
No, the fresh bread goes on the table. Their second focus was the people of Israel. So first, it was everything that had to do with God. And then second was the people. So they attended all of the sacrifices in the tabernacle. They caught the blood as the animal died because, of course, this is Old Testament. We did animal sacrifices. And then offering a portion on the altar of the animal and then eating the portion that was assigned to them. So there was a certain portion of the animal that you sacrificed to God and then a certain portion of the offering that was also set aside for the priests.
So and there was a lot of rules about how to do that kind of stuff. There was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. And like we said, we'll go more into detail about all of these things. So
I just wanted to bring this kind of note in. The tabernacle was built by the Jews and for the Jews. And when we read about the temple, which is the one I mentioned was built by Solomon, that was actually built by Jews and by other groups around who helped also build it, people of the time. And so it was also built to be a house of prayer for all nations. Like that's how it was known when the temple was built. So this revealed God's scope that included all mankind. And so it just kind of gives us that foreshadowing, that kind of insight into what Christ was going to be when he came. Like he was going to be for everybody in the same way that when Solomon built the temple, he also included everybody and called it for all nations.
All right, so we hope that you enjoyed this episode on the tabernacle. It was brief. We just wanted to give you an overview of what the tabernacle is, and then we're going more in detail in the next episode. So next week, we're going to go inside the tabernacle and talk about the holy place. That's the first part we're going to start. Like always, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope we provided some sort of value to you. And as always, this is Fran.
This is Yadi.
And we are the Midtown Misfits, and we will see you next week.